So welcome to this evening to the extra training that really aligns with Module 3. Module 3 is quite important. It's the last of the process of awakening. And what I mean by process, as practitioners, you're going to a bigger evolutionary process than when you see clients or when you're doing it on family, friends, animals, etc. This is all about you clearing the concept of ego. Now, what is ego? Ego is a construct of the mind. This is all in your books, and it'll be in your Module 3 books for those that are doing it first time and those that are repeating, you know it's in your books. The illusion of separation, the illusion that I am not you and I am not everything. And where this information came about was very much my awakening. We all know this from birth, but we forget. And we forget on purpose. And the reason we forget is that it's part of our process at the moment. So let's just take a big breath before you start. You can take notes as you go if you want to, or you can just listen, whatever your learning style is. And part of this work was part of the Jean Sheen book that I deleted. I didn't save it on the computer. I thought it's too much for people. But as things have happened, and this has happened, I've gone, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time to share. So just to begin with, I'd like you to set an intention. Just like when you attend a physical course with me, it is so important to set an intention. What do you want from this evening, from this VIP training? When you set that intention of what you want, then attention goes to it. And then you have awareness, which is held in the organ of the heart. So just that intention, what is it that you'd like to get from this evening? And it could be just time to yourself. It could be just connecting with like-minded friends. And then the conscious mind, stomach, plus the reticular activating system, which is in the brainstem, says, oh my gosh, there it is, there it is, there it is. So this information and journey that you're going on is you're embarking on wisdom from the absolute. And I remembered it whilst I had my awakening, which I talk about in the Jean Sheen book. These are the universal laws which all humans require for evolution. We've done this game before about getting conscious. We've done the series of COVID before in Atlantis. Been there, done that, didn't learn it. I think sometimes us humans are a little bit slow to get it. We've done the thing about hurting animals in Atlantis. Back to COVID, wet markets, animals speaking. And these universal laws that allow people to evolve, the evolution is to go from fear back to love, to see everything from heart and know that everything is actually done in love. So when the COVID stuff happened, I first learned about it whilst I was on the cruise in January this year, 2020. I got an email from my husband saying, when you get to Vanuatu, get yourself some masks. And I went, what? What are you talking about? By the time I got to Vanuatu, he hadn't received my email. I didn't know what he was talking about. I got back on the cruise ship talking to the AV staff. They're the ones that hooked me up for the wires and everything. And they were telling me about this disease. So this is before it was broadcast. They already knew about it. The evolution was for me to say, big things coming. I knew 2020 energies are about people beside themselves. I knew that the animals were going to speak, hence why the animal course was not going to be last year, but this year. I knew that there was a big awakening for everybody to really check in. When we embark on this wisdom of the absolute, we understand that when we're in lockdown or lock up, it's like the universe saying, all humans, go to your room. You've been naughty children. Wake up, wake up. And part of these laws is seeing that there's no bad thing from the COVID-19, seeing that the Australian government, I'm not into politics and this is not about praising them or whatever. It's seeing the best in everything. I think the Australian government has done incredibly well to shut everything down, to stop the COVID at this stage and support as much as it can. We start to see the love in everything. And just like the prism on your screen, it's the refraction. This is back to module 1. White light, which contains all knowledge, all colors, all everything, goes through a prism, which is the 10-point Merkaba, and it's refracted or broken so that we are separate to see separate form. And part of module 3 is now to bring all the broken bits back into that one form to understand that we have never, ever, ever been separate. That the ego, or the word ego, emotions go, is that we're never separate. These are secret codes that humans have searched for years to live their best life. This is about obtaining peace, or the real mind. What's the real mind? The real mind is that there is only love. And the only love is that everything has done in love. It's never been done in fear or bad or anything. And when we grasp this, which is in the next millennium, what will happen is we won't have prisons. We won't have bad things happen. All illusions will be gone. And that starts from the year 2999. So we're still growing up and evolving. And that mind is the 10-point Merkaba, whereas the 8-point Merkaba is know thyself. When I had my awakening process, my throat blocked off, and I talked about this in module 1. It blocked up where I felt like I was choking. That's the 5th dimension. And I felt separate from myself. I used to feel this all the time as a child, as the age was disconnecting from me. A lot of people are feeling choked beside themselves. This is part of module 3 and the illusion of ego, where you are beside yourself. And instead of being beside ourselves and calling anxiety, depression, I don't know how to cope, all those things, if we just step aside from the fear emotions, we actually have clarity. And as I explained in module 1, as I did that, all the memories of Atlantis, Lemuria, Egypt, Pallades, the void, consciousness, absolute mathematical codes, everything that what is happening now flooded back. This is important for module 3 VIP stuff, that you understand that these words that came through, I'd heard them before, but I didn't understand them because they didn't make sense in the 3rd dimension. And it's about accessing consciousness, creation, understanding patterns, understanding manifestation is consciousness and appearance. That it's whatever you focus on, you'll see it, you'll be it, you are it. Blame China for COVID, or is it all of us as a human race? Part of this module 3 and what you're entering the VIP is understanding we are the gatekeepers to our mind. And the symbol here, the Millennium Modality that you have on the front of your workbooks, that is a Millennium Modality emblem, is actually a vortex through consciousness. The sphere of one heart, one mind, and that you can travel beyond time and travel anywhere in all dimensions. But it's understanding that there is only one mind, not their separate illusion mind that takes us to fear. So, as we start this, I want you to take another deep breath. And just like you learned in module 1, always go back to the basics of tap and breathe. Tapping on the head just to allow the brain to work together synchronized. Tapping on the thymus for the evolution and responding rather than defensive patterns. Courage. The word courage, C-O-U-R, is a Greek word meaning of heart. Our language, as bizarre as it is, has a tone and a frequency. When I had my awakening, it was like my whole slate of memories and who I was completely wiped out. And I had to relearn the language. Not only like when I was a child and couldn't speak English, but it was like, oh my gosh, what does that mean? Courage? Courage of what? What is that? Courage. Be of heart. Courage is making yourself vulnerable and sharing from the heart. As my brain was being rewired in those 7 days of hugging the toilet bowl, being an empty vessel as I vomited and emptied out my whole body of everything, I became extremely vulnerable. And yet we're frightened of being vulnerable, and yet it is our core essence. For vulnerability is actually curiosity. And yet we think it's a pain. We think that we'll get hurt. Courage is making yourself vulnerable, curious, open, just like the internal and external elbow chakras from Module 2. For when we make ourselves vulnerable, we are actually of heart. It's the same with the word gullibility, mouth chakra. When you allow yourself to be totally gullible, totally vulnerable, you are in heart. You only have to know to look at children, how they are vulnerable, how they are gullible. And sometimes it's not even children. For example, Christmas last year, my husband gave me all the prezzies that I wanted. Candles, stationery, and post-it notes. But there was a set of notes that I thought were post-it notes. It was a block of white heart-shaped paper. And I said to him, quite vulnerable, coming from heart, where did you get that from? His answer was, why, I found a shop that's a post-it notes just of hearts. I went into pure courage is making yourself vulnerable, sharing from my heart. Whereabouts is it? I was just like a child. He laughed. In the evolutionary process, I laughed too because I saw what he was doing. He was trying to connect. And yet, in the unawakened state, we would be defensive in the thymus chakra and the thymus gland, saying, you tease me. That's horrible. How dare you say that? But allowing myself to be vulnerable, allowed myself to be of heart. Once my husband stopped laughing, he said, oh my God, you looked so innocent, like an angel. So courage, which means heart, C-O-U-R, heart, is making yourself vulnerable and sharing from the heart. And all the way through the courses, no matter what course that you do with me, I ask that you do that because then you connect to your heart. Harmony. The word harm also means heart. And yet we think the word harm means to hurt. When things are in harm or harmony, it's like a whole orchestra playing a sound or a vibration or a tune or a song that just seems to flow. And we forget that harmony surrounds us. Everything. Everything is an orchestra playing at the right sound, frequency. Even right now, as I walk the naked, empty, quiet streets in the evenings of a very busy tourist area, harmony surrounds me. There's a stillness, a heartbeat. And yet, at Christmas time, when it was busy with tourists here on the Sunshine Coast, harmony surrounds me. Traffic noise, people playing music, people on the boats playing music, bands, kids riding bikes, possums squealing, birds chirping. Harmony surrounds me. When we understand everything is of heart or harmony, that song, that wave and frequency of love, that it's always around us. we then start to tune in, ear chakra, and listen to the love, to the pleasant and the good. Even write down, as I explain in the Millennium Children course, when your child is yelling at you, screaming at you, I hate you, I want that bike. Harmony surrounds me. I listen with love to the pleasant and the good. That child has lost the frequency of love. They're hurting, they're in pain, but they know that you are there to support them. I am the center for that love. Again, when we understand that everything around us is a frequency of love, that there's not actually bad, nothing is bad. You understand that all around you, everything, back to the original source, no separation, is divine love. I am beginning to make positive changes in my life. In Module 1, I explained there's no good or bad. Positive y minus y. Positive x minus x when we do the Cartesian planes or the center of the heart. But in our human third dimension brain, we'll say it as positive changes. Because when there's a positive, like attracts like. When we understand that everything is a new beginning, we understand we attract everything to us, always. It is safe for me. It is safe for me. We forget that everything is actually safe. There's no need for protection, which you hear me say in Module 1. There's no need for white light and protection, because when we understand nobody can hurt us, we can have the illusion of loss and pain, but nobody can hurt us. And it's safe for me to be happy and fulfilled. What we're actually saying is, I'm happy to return to the memories of being a brand new baby, where I understood it was safe, hence why I came to this world. I understood it's okay to be happy and fulfilled. To be fulfilled, stomach, is to be at peace and not need for anything. And while I was lying on the floor, excruciating headache, my other dog Lucky howling, the kids looking after themselves, eating what they could get, part of me was understanding it was safe for me to be me. The happiness was I am me. The fulfillment, I am me. And part of that me is that it's okay to share this. Who to? To the direct family first. I am beginning to make positive changes in my life. It is safe for me to be happy and fulfilled. The more I understood this, the more I understood go out into the world, share this, be in business. It's okay to be happy and fulfilled. And if someone else reacts or responds to it, it's actually none of my business. For the understanding is, be the example of what's possible. The past no longer holds me captive. As the slate was cleaned from my mind, my separate mind, I understood it was okay to let go. My body was an empty vessel, top and bottom. I understood that that past was a story, and yet it was holding me in a prison. And I had flashbacks to a recurring nightmare that I would see over and over and over and over from the time that we moved from Kuwait to Australia. I saw my mum as a seal in a cage. I loved seals, and I still do. And I remember hiding behind a bush, and she was trapped in this cage. I didn't understand what it meant. The person that was captive was not my mum. It was me. For me as a child, and still now, seals are sweet and innocent. They look like a water puppy. And I understood that all the past, I had put myself in jail, in my monkey mind, in my separate illusionary ego mind. And it was okay to unlock the gate. For I am the gatekeeper of my mind. But I had closed that gate, bolted it, to play the illusion of fear. The past no longer holds me captive. This is back to module 1, knowing that everything is a story. If we understand it's just a story, therefore, no matter what happened in the past, it doesn't keep you in that prison, jail, lockup. Whether it was yesterday, last week, last month, last year, 5 years ago, 20 years ago. For the past can no longer hold anyone captive unless we choose to hold on to that story. And then, what's the benefit of that story? Why keep yourself in that prison? As the new memories came flooding back, which were really the ancient memories, all I could hear was, what is the worst thing that could happen? I truly believed that I was going to die on that floor, and I did. Part of me died. The old, limited, fear-based, fear-ridden person. When I grasped, what is the worst thing that can happen? I thought nothing. I thought it was my children dying. No. I thought it was me dying. No. Losing money. No. Not being able to eat. Well, no, because I'd been through that when I was homeless. Not having a house. Well, I'd been through that when I was homeless. I started to understand there was never a worse thing that could happen. Why? Because the past no longer holds me captive. Why? Because it's safe for me to be happy and fulfilled. Why? Because harmony surrounds me. Why? Because courage is making yourself vulnerable and sharing from the heart. There can never ever be in soul evolution a worse thing that can happen. We think that it will be the worst, and yet we get through it. We survive, we grow, changes happen. It's like that beautiful mum, Rosie Batty, who lost her son to her ex-husband. The ex-husband killed the son with a cricket bat. He wasn't doing well. What's the worst thing that could happen? She was in dreadful pain, immediate loss. But from that moment, she made a stand. She made a change, not just for her, but for so many. And it's the same as Daniel Morecambe and the changes that his parents have made. In fact, so many people, even you. There's probably been times in your life where you've thought, oh my God, that's the worst thing that could happen to us. It happened. And yet you evolved and you grew and you learnt and you blossomed. So I learned to make this a motto for myself. What is the worst thing that happened? And as it became a very strong memory, it allowed me to venture out into the world all the time, no matter what. What's the worst thing that could happen? I'll give you an example. So a couple of weeks ago, I was meant to teach medical astrology. It didn't happen. What's the worst thing that could happen? Everyone wants their money back. No. What's the worst thing that could happen? They hate me. No. What's the worst thing that could happen? I stay awake for 25 hours, 4 a.m. on the Friday to 5 a.m. on the Saturday. What's the worst thing that could happen? I developed a migraine and vomiting because I tried to fix the computer. No. What's the worst thing that could happen? There was none. Because this became part of my new patterning and my being, I was able to understand just recently and for years, there is no worst thing that would happen. There's only opportunities. And some of you have heard me say, especially in the Money Magnet course, life is one big op shop. Everything is an opportunity. And yet, because we forget that we are conscious co-creators, that we can create anything and grow and blossom, we have a thymus gland, a thymus chakra, we then go into the doubt and the fear. Module 3, ego. What is the worst thing that could happen? And quite often during sessions, I'll say to people, what's the worst thing that will happen? Well, no. What's the worst thing that will happen? Well, then that could, no. What's the worst thing? And people suddenly realize there is no worst thing. Part of the illusion of ego is the connection back into the oneness, into the unity, the absolute. There's no worst thing that can ever happen. Why? Because we're always evolving. You see, what happened was I cleaned the slate of my mind. It was a blank canvas. This is in your modules 1 to 4 books right at the beginning. An opportunity to clean the slate and rewrite your story. Because I learned the deepest thing ever. The simpler I make my life, the more abundant it is. I had a taste of that at childhood where I didn't have a lot of toys. I was lucky to have one toy at a time. I learnt it again when I was homeless. I didn't have anything. And yet I felt quite rich. But I really grasped it when I had the awakening. And the simpler wasn't so much about things I owned. It was the doorkeeper to my mind. The more simple I made my life in my mind, the more abundant I was. And the abundance wasn't just money. It was the love. The more that I understood everything is done in love, given in love, offered in love, the more I felt rich and the more I could give back. The simpler? So, clients didn't pay me in the beginning. So what? Get it somewhere else. Set some boundaries. Set in some rules. Instead of going into the complication and it means that. Sometimes I hear people in the spiritual game say things like, if the universe wants me to have it, and they complicate it with stories and blame. This is more of module 4. And they'll blame outside, and they'll blame the past life even, and they'll complicate the life so much, and it's because they did, and I didn't do, and I didn't have, and Auntie Gertrude and Uncle Frank said, and yet the simpler I make my life, the more abundant it is. And when I came out into the world, and I started working with entrepreneurs and millionaires, and keynote speaking in corporate world, there was something I noticed. These people weren't into pet rocks and crystals and things, yet they made their life very simple. They didn't complicate it. They would just say, okay, I spent 50,000, I lost to 50,000, so be it. Oh, well, we'll just recreate it. The simpler I make my life, the more abundant it is. Do you need to get rid of everything? No. It's just being the doorkeeper to your mind. Understanding, does that service you anymore? Back to module 1, story. Storytelling. What's the story? Are you benefiting? Is it servicing you? Is it complicating? At this stage, the limbic brain, keep it simple, no right or wrong. The limbic brain loves simple. Just keep it really simple. And yet, when we complicate it, you'll see people with a pain in the back of their head. Now trying to move their head going, oh, my neck's stiff and sore. Once I understood, the simpler I made my life, the more abundant it was. It was like a pivotal time again that said, well, you know what? If it's simple that everything is love, then I expect something good to happen no matter what happened yesterday, because everything is a new beginning. And that's what I noticed after the 7 days. I remember one time going to the ATM. I pulled out my card and I burst into tears. I couldn't remember what to do. What do you do with this? How do I make it go back? The simpler I make my life, the more abundant. What I understood from that moment was no matter what happened yesterday, 5 minutes ago, something great, good, loving is going to happen now. It always is. Part of the sacred geometry shapes, Platonic solids, also make this form. They do it in geometry. These are key words. So if today I expect something good, or even today I expect, isn't expectation, general brain, eye chakra, isn't that a bad thing? Absolutely not. You see, I expect it to happen again. It happens again. It's going to happen again. What's going to happen again? Instead of the fear-based, it's going to happen again, is, well, I'm going to make money. I'm going to have a great time. I'm always going to find a solution. The brain gets totally rewired. Or does it return to like when we're a baby, where we use 95% of our brain, but not 5%? So today I expect, of course it's going to happen. It's going to happen again. But that's the love-based thing. Today I expect something good to happen. Just like children. They live moment by moment until they're taught by adults who have lost and forgotten that today expect something bad to happen, no matter what happened. Today I expect something good to happen is going back to being vulnerable, back to gullible. Because no matter what happened yesterday, we can make our own memories. The amygdala and connective tissue. No matter what happened 10 hours ago, 10 minutes ago, I expect something good to happen every time. It's all about the reprint, imprinting. Just recently, I bought a shoe rack. It's something that you hang inside your closet and you place your shoes on it. I love it. It means no dust go on all my high heels. And it swings. I'm still learning about my dog Zach on what he's fearful of, what he's not awakened to. I opened the cupboard and Zach is used to the cupboard door being open. I knocked the shoe rack. It swung. Zach's immediate reaction was fear. But his first reaction was, I expect something good to happen, no matter what happened yesterday. But then he saw the swinging and he wasn't sure. So I took him back to the simpler I made my life, the more abundant. I used key words that I'm imprinting. Zach, find it, which is about excitement. Is something great going to happen? Amazing. What is it going to be? I touched the shoe rack while it was swinging. If I touched it, it must be okay. I'm the leader of the pack. He sniffed it, he wagged his tail, stepped back, went back in. The next day, I opened the wardrobe. Sure enough, my shadow was right next to me. The dog was there again. He saw the shoe rack waving around. Today, I expect something good to happen no matter what happened yesterday. He didn't remember that was fear. And it's the same with us. We can hold on to those stories and continually say, you know what? That's pain. That's painful. But you see, the past no longer holds me captive unless I choose to, unless I benefit from it, unless I want to share the story with everyone because I get something from it. Today, I expect something good to happen no matter what happened yesterday. It might be someone giving you a smile, or you giving them a smile, just like Module 2. Today offers a hidden gift if you're willing to search for it. Because if today I expect something good to happen, no matter what happened yesterday, well, then I'm going to get a gift. But if we search for it, and to search for it is eyes, eye chakra, third eye. If we look for it, just like this evening I asked you to set an intention. Intention, attention, awareness. And if we knew to search, for example, the hearts and everything, like I teach in Module 5, look for the hearts, look for the love. Then there's a gift in everything. Everything is a gift. So for me, when COVID-19 happened, I saw the gift of everyone being able to get back to the basics. People are creating veggie patches, having time with the kids, creating dehydrated food, pickling food, storing food. Oh my gosh, the most amazing things. Creativity of how to make a mask. Do you need the mask? From socks, paper towel, all sorts of things. There's a massive gift in everything. Always, always, always. Not that we understand it at that moment, but when this becomes your natural reprinting again, you understand when the wobblies come. Just like as my computer crashed and I couldn't teach Module 9 medical astrology 2 weeks ago, I said, there's a gift in this. I just need to see what it is. What is it? What's the gift? For me, the gift was everyone was so loving, caring, and understanding. So loving. Yep, that's okay, Jean. Yep, we can do that date. Wow. Oh my gosh, what an amazing gift. Love and acceptance. Wow. So if today offers a hidden gift, what could that gift be? Sure, it might be a present. You might have something in the mail, just like these affirmations and words. You received it already. You've all got these cards for you. You can randomly pull them out. You can send them to someone else. You can write on the back of them and gift them away. You can do whatever you want with them. There's that sort of gift. Maybe the hidden gift is you being able to see that you can do something. Maybe the hidden gift is saying no. Maybe the hidden gift is giving an answer of no with no reasons, excuses, justifications, explanations, just like I explained in Module 5, Opening Doors. Maybe today's hidden gift is being able to sleep in, eating a piece of chocolate cake, not eating, drinking more water, exercising, not exercising. You see, there's a gift in everything if you are willing to search for it. But the key thing here, the hidden gift, is that everything is always given to us in love, and that nothing has ever, ever, ever been done to us. Let's go back to Module 3, the illusion of separation and ego. Well, does the world understand this yet? Not yet. Is it playing with fear? Yes. When we grasp these concepts of everything as a gift, then our lessons will evolve. For some, this could be a challenge. For all of you, because you're doing this evolutionary process, medical, the art of making whole, intuition, spontaneous insight, you'll understand this huge awareness, which is our core blueprint of who we are. So at this moment, I'll ask you to take a very large breath in and hold, and then breathe all the way out. And I just want you to tap in all consciousness of these absolute, and then tap out all illusions of Module 3. For the knowing that it is about making my life simpler, expecting something good to happen, that there's always a gift, that it's safe for you to be happy and fulfilled, and the past no longer holds you captive, that you are courageous as you make yourself vulnerable and be of heart, and that the only thing that surrounds you is pure love, for you are the love. I get you to take another big breath in. Breathe all the way out. And at this stage, if you've got any questions, if you want to ask, you're more than welcome. They are going to be recorded so that you can go back and listen. The only people that will hear it is all of us in this group, nobody else. So if you've got a question, please just unmute yourself and ask. Or if you would prefer to type it, I can check the chat box. So anybody want to ask anything? Are you all still with me?
I don't have any questions. Thanks, Jean.
Thank you, Melissa. Does
Neither do
anyone
I, thanks, Jean.
any insights or any apostrophes where you went, what the fudge? Oh my God. Or this is familiar, or anything?
Oh, I want to go back and listen to it again. I felt like a lot of connections to a lot of what you were saying, but yeah, I want to just go back through it.
And great idea of going back through it, but relating the stories I give back to your own stories, because in the absolute, we're all having exactly the same stories. Module 3, we think that we're separate. We are so not separate. So Bonnie, I'm going to use you as an example. So Bonnie might not have had a dog when she was a kid, and I did, and she wanted one, and I love my dog, and she might have had this pain point, and I had this pain point, but it's actually the same story. It is all the same story, but we think that people don't understand. We think that we're the only ones in pain, and yet it's all the same. It's all the same. Anyone else want to share or say anything? Okay, I'm just going to stop the recording.